Hi, it's me, Yvonne, your local non-binary witch, and I'd like to talk about the subject of pagans and money, or in this more specifically, witchcraft and money. Now it's interesting that I don't see this debate happening in other branches of paganism particularly, so that's interesting in itself. Anyway, I have written about pagans and money in my book, Dark Mirror, The Inner Work of Witchcraft, which is available from shop.dorianvaliente.org, and it's in chapter 12 on relationships. So the reason I'm bringing this up now is because I've seen a lot of people talking about this recently, and I've noticed a lot of people on Instagram selling something, either services or whatever. And I don't sell witchcraft related services. Yeah, I'm here to sell books, right? Like, I want you to buy my books. But I give out YouTube videos for free. One of the reasons that I do that is because if I did it as a paid service, I'd have to administer that service, and I'd have to set up a Patreon and produce content on a regular basis and monitor it for quality and provide extra services like marking people's homework. And I'd have to take people on as students, and then I'd have to provide them with a professional level service and blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to do all of that. I've got a coven. I can take people on into my coven, and once I do that, they then become like family, right? So you don't charge your family for coming around for dinner. So I don't obviously don't charge my coven for classes and training. Now, eventually, I am hoping, and this is what's happened in previous covens, the idea is that they will eventually produce rituals, and then I can sit back and relax and watch and experience while somebody else facilitates a ritual, and I will gain from their companionship on the path and the insights that they have to share. And that's why Wicca, initiatory Wicca does not cost money, because once people are in your coven, they're like family, and you just don't charge your family for time spent with them. So, on the other hand, if you are doing classes where that person is just doing a class and going away, and there's no ongoing continuing relationship, and you're putting out more energy than you're getting back from your students, then it's perfectly okay to charge for that class. The grey area would be if you learned your craft in a coven setting where it was free, and then you're charging for the same thing. That I just don't like that, right? But a lot of people don't have the time or the bandwidth to read books on witchcraft and related topics. So, I don't actually have a problem with people charging for beginners classes that don't result in joining a coven. I think if somebody was charging for outer court training, that would be weird, because those people are going to become members of your family. So you wouldn't charge somebody else's kid to date your kid, right? That would be weird. So, and that person potentially could be is becoming a member of your family. So by analogy, I don't think you should be charging. I absolutely do not think you should be charging for outer court training. So obviously, people write books. People think that authors make a living from writing books. I mean, come on. I have a day job. I'm a software developer, And, you know, I write books in my spare time when I have some. Most authors do not make a lot of money from writing books. You know, some of my previous books, which are now out of print, I didn't, I stopped receiving royalties for them, even though they were still on sale. So, it's even worse than you think, right? And then there's the thing of, if you self-publish something on some websites, your content ends up getting ripped off by those sites that sell, that give away people's books for free. Like, please don't use those sites, because you are ripping off authors by doing that. It doesn't cost that much to go and buy an ebook from a regular supplier. So, other situations where training and the stuff gets given away for free, or, ostensibly for free, no money changes hands. And I don't think anything is free, actually. I think, if you show up for coven training, then you are paying with your time and your attention and your commitment, and the fact that eventually you will be, writing rituals and facilitating rituals. But anyway, another situation where no actual money might change hands would be like a pagan event where there are several people giving workshops. So like maybe I give an hour's workshop, and then the rest of the weekend I go to other people's workshops. So my payment is going to other people's workshops, right? And the same for them. So that's a sort of barter system. And some organisations have events that have like week-long events where there are a group of people who do the teaching, and they do it all week, so they get paid, and that's legit. Because if somebody, they're not getting anything back in terms of attending other people's workshops or whatever, so they get paid for that, and that's totally fair. If you do something like healing, a lot of people say, well, I got my healing as a gift from the gods, so I'm going to give it away. Yeah, but people should still be like at least paying for your fuel, for your time, for the effort of traveling to do the healing or whatever it is. And personally, I'm okay with charging people for healing, or at least the incidental expenses and the time, right? So not necessarily for the energy, but the other things that go around that. If you're doing a tarot reading, or any other kind, rune reading, astrology, any kind of service like that, that's obviously legitimate to charge for. I don't know what the going rate is right now, but you could ask a tarot reader and find out what the going rate is. So in my book and in my article on the subject, I talk about how money comes into it is a part of an energy exchange system. So back in the day, before money was invented, we bartered things. It's like, I'll give you one goat for three rounds of cheese, right? And then, maybe the person who's got the cheese doesn't actually want a goat. So instead they get like a promissory note that says, okay, I will give you a couple of barrels of pickled herring in exchange for your 3 rounds of cheese. And then eventually the promissory note thing gets replaced with money, because that's and then because then you can go and spend that money somewhere else, instead of it just being a promissory note for a barrel of pickled herring that you also didn't want. So in all societies there has been some form of exchange for all kinds of services and goods and experiences and so on. And I don't think it's been any different for magic. So I think that, you know, and it's all about what relationship you have with the person that you're giving the service to, right? So if my family came around for dinner, I obviously wouldn't charge them money for it. If one of my family asked for me for a tarot reading, extremely unlikely, but then I wouldn't charge them for it. If a member of the public asked me for a reading of some kind, then yeah, I would charge them money for that. And I think that the relationship that you have with your coven members is like a family, and that's why you don't charge your coven members for training. But if I was to do online classes or something, then yeah, for sure I would charge money for it, and that's fine. And it's all about the ongoing relationship with the person and whether you're getting anything back from that experience, because it does take effort to do these things. So I hope that goes some way to addressing, some of the ethics around charging for things, and why we might charge or not charge for certain things. And obviously highlighted a grey area there where if somebody learns something for free, then it's sort of weird that if they're charging for that knowledge. And other than that, I think, just use your common sense and, does it feel right to do the thing that you're proposing to do? So, anyway, have a good day. Blessed be.